Hi everybody, Rob Keys here. I meant to make this video yesterday, but I was just too busy after I got home from the Avengers Endgame premiere, which I talked about in the last video, and I said I would do a follow-up to review it. So, here it is, my spoiler-free thoughts on Avengers Endgame. Disclaimer, I did not love Avengers Infinity War. I think it's a pretty good movie, but I think it was a little overrated. I think it had too many missing things. It didn't follow up directly from what we saw and what the characters had done, and the things they had overcome in movies like Guardians of the Galaxy and the way Thor Ragnarok ended. It just felt like they skipped a little too much. There was too much off-screen happenings. When we meet Thanos in Infinity War, he already has the Purple Power Stone, and he already took out Xandar, which kind of overwrites everything that Guardians of the Galaxy stood for. And there were some characters that didn't quite fit. Some were just missing. We didn't see any Ant-Man, we didn't see any Hawkeye, we didn't see any Valkyrie. And some characters that were there were sort of misused, like especially Bruce Banner, played by Mark Ruffalo. His whole problem in Infinity War of not being able to become the Hulk, and the just awful and cringy dialogue and the bad CGI with him in the Hulkbuster outfit, it was just not good. I didn't understand it. But it was a super enjoyable film to watch in theaters. Thanos was really well done, with amazing special effects. And there's a lot of really cool character moments. And some of the backdrops, like the fight in the forest against Thanos when he has the stones at the end of that movie, it looks so cheap TV, and it just didn't feel like as grand as it should have been. Avengers Endgame, however, fixes and surpasses all of those moments. It is quite simply the greatest superhero movie ever to experience in a movie theater. Doesn't mean it's a perfect film. It's just the perfect event. I don't want to say event film. It's the perfect Marvel fan event. If you have been there since the beginning like I have, and you saw Iron Man in theaters in summer 2008, oh my god, 11 years ago, or you just recently caught most or all of the films, hopefully all of them, Avengers Endgame is the perfect culmination of all of those films, just like the writers, the directors, and the president, Kevin Feige, promised. It delivers and then some. Even if you have super high expectations, there are things in this movie that will blow you away. Even if you happen to catch spoilers, and you really need to avoid spoilers more than any other movie I have ever seen in my entire life, this is the one you really want to avoid spoilers. Because it'll just mind-blowing moment after moment, and like the callbacks and references characters make, the things they've said, have done, interactions they've had in the past, previous events. Like, I do not know how they wrote and planned this movie. They put so much in there, and the payoffs are so strong, and it's epic and exciting and fun, and there's funny bits and twists and turns, and it's incredibly emotional as well. It's, oh my god! When I came out of the screening at the premiere, I said, "This is a movie where like the word hyperbole doesn't apply. You can be, there's nothing like it. I don't even know how Marvel Studios, let alone any Hollywood production company, can top this, can do it again, because it is a 22 chapter, 22 film story that they finished with this one." And as you saw from the posters and marketing materials, they got all 6 original Avengers back for this one. So Hawkeye wasn't in Infinity War. He's like my favorite character of the main Avengers. I'm going to turn left up here. He gets to be like a lead. He might have the most screen time in this one. Finally, give him his due, which is awesome to see. And Ant-Man, who was not there in Infinity War either, he gets a lot of screen time. Still doing the comic relief thing. It's really just awesome. And it does feel like they've ended this book. You know what I mean? Like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 are 3 volumes of a larger story, and they concluded that arc. It doesn't mean the MCU is finished, but just like everyone involved with the studio has said, the current iteration of the MCU is certainly has a nice final chapter, so to speak. You know what I mean? But it's equally exciting to see where they go next. You know what I mean? To see which characters they decide to pursue, and all the new characters are gonna introduce. I don't want to spend too much time talking about that, but the plan, it seems, is to continue the path of introducing new properties and new characters at least once a year, and then spending the other 2 or maybe more movies in the future now that they have X-Men and Fantastic Four back. Continuing adding new characters and doing a combination of new characters and sequels and spin-offs to existing properties. So, we know Shang-Chi is going to happen. It already has a director. We know Black Widow is going to happen as a prequel. It already has a director and a big part of its cast already. Same with the Eternals director, and they already started casting for that. Angelina Jolie is rumored to be in that, which makes sense. She's been working with Disney in the Maleficent films. So yes, sort of 3 new properties if you count Black Widow in there, and then we have Guardians 3. James Gunn is back. That's 2023. It's not going to happen until, because he's doing the Suicide Squad right now, or Suicide Squad 2, depending what you want to call it. Before that, 2 years before that, we have the Spider-Man sequel, Spider-Man 3-quel, I should say, which you heard it here first. It's for sure going to include Kraven. I don't think we've written about that. Maybe it's been rumored, but that's what I've been hearing that for a long time now. I heard the plan was always Mysterio in the second one, and then I think Kraven for the third one. So I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. And then, of course, we're going to have sequels to Doctor Strange. Scott Derrickson's going to be back. Ryan Coogler's going to be back for Black Panther 2. I think in order it should be Strange 2, Black Panther 2, and then Captain Marvel 2. We spoke to Kevin Feige, and they already have plans and ideas for the sequel. So, now that Cap, Iron Man, and Thor finished their trilogies and moved on to team-based movies, and new characters like Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, Panther, Captain Marvel all started their franchises. I suspect we're just gonna continue those as trilogies. So hopefully there's an Ant-Man 3. I know Peyton Reed, the director of those movies, was there at the premiere as well, so I have no doubt he's going to do a third Ant-Man movie. And the way that one ends, and with that big family of characters they established by the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, that should for sure get a sequel. So that'll be cool. And then maybe like Ant-Man and the Wasp can like, I don't know, fold into the Avengers, like be like actual Avengers members, not just like popping up like Ant-Man like popped up in Civil War. You know what I mean? But it'd be nice to see them actually part of the main team now, especially because they're sort of like OG Avengers. So that makes sense. It's a nice way to do it because they are second generation heroes, sort of. Because the original Ant-Man and the Wasp who we met in the sequel, and I got the new ones. So it's a nice kind of a role reversal a little bit to see them join in. And then the wild cards after that. So that's like 7 or 8 movies we know are for sure happening in the next 4 years, probably. Most likely. Beyond that, I mean, the question mark that we won't even talk about is X-Men and Fantastic Four. They have to fold those in as soon as possible. It would suck for fans of X-Men movies to go from Fox developing 2 or 3 movies per year to having no X-Men or Fantastic Four for like 3-4 years, waiting for Marvel to figure out what they want to do with them. It's like, no, they got to start teasing. At least tease Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four, tease Doom, and figure out some sort of plan to introduce the mutant gene into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I don't know how they're going to do that because they can't really retcon all these characters into history, so they have to have a starting point. So maybe, I don't know how they're going to do that. That's a tough question to crack. I mean, Fantastic Four is easy, you know what I mean, relatively to the X-Men, who are an entire species, sort of. Homo superior is the genetic term, I suppose. But the wild cards are Nova, which to me, I would love to work in that film because like, Richard Rider is like one of my favorite characters in the Marvel Comics, and that movie, the prologue for that movie, should explain the dialogue in Infinity War where they said Thanos had already decimated, that's what Thor said, decimated Xandar and grabbed the Power Stone. That would be a sweet prologue to a Nova film where they show the planet getting wrecked, the Nova Corps getting wrecked, and now the Xandarians realize we need something more powerful. We need our own Avengers. We need superpowered beings, sort of. And so they create, the World Mind or whatever, and then start creating their own actual superhero Nova Corps, not just those crappy pilots that couldn't even save their own planet in Guardians of the Galaxy. That's a great starting point for that, and they can tie it to Earth because of Roman Day's relationship with Peter Quill, who's a Terran, half Terran. That's John C. Reilly's character, by the way. That, and the other one, which no one's talked about from Marvel Studios, but like there was a guy who's been leaking stuff. I'm not going to name him so you don't look it up before they see the movie. But there's a guy who had a Twitter account and had a bunch of information on Marvel movies like years ago, disappeared, came back around December, posted like 20 tweets, mostly about Avengers 4. All of those things he said back in December on this semi-closed down Twitter account with no avatar image or anything, all true. And amongst those tweets, he talks about Thunderbolts, bringing back certain characters. So that makes me think, man, that must really be in the cards. That's a cool team movie to bring in some villains and anti-heroes, sort of, to create another team-based movie that, General Ross, Thunderbolt Ross, Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, William Hurt's character can kind of like run point on that. That would be kind of a neat thing to do. And they can work towards bringing back S.H.I.E.L.D. eventually as well, because S.H.I.E.L.D.'s been gone. Like, they introduced S.H.I.E.L.D. in the Avengers, and they immediately took it out, like 2 years later in the Winter Soldier. And then we've had the TV show, which is not really S.H.I.E.L.D., and the S.H.I.E.L.D's kind of been gone from the movies ever since. So that's very tangential to what I was talking about, Avengers Endgame, but it's not much to say, because like the marketing materials show you barely anything, and they were so secretive for a reason. Disney was so secretive, they didn't even let us watch the movie for the junket. And they didn't host the premiere or the press screenings until like 3 days before this thing went wide, the same week, because they are so careful about preserving spoilers. So my biggest note is, if you like these Marvel movies, you're gonna effing love Avengers Endgame. It's arguably the best movie they've done. I love Captain America: The Winter Soldier, but this movie, as an event film, as a Marvel Studios piece, it might be the best thing they've ever done. And I do not know how they're gonna top it. And you are going to get incredible performances, incredible surprises, and you're probably going to tear up. See it as soon as possible. Do not, if you're on social media, just don't. Stay off of it. You're asking to be spoiled. Do not go to Reddit, read anything about movies. Do not Google Avengers Endgame. You know, if you're a fan, you're going to see this movie. I'm telling you, you have to see this movie. Just see this movie and see it with someone who hasn't seen it yet. Don't let anyone spoil it. And maybe even wear earbuds walking into the theater, so no one coming out the earlier screening will spoil it for you, if your theater works like that. Yeah, it's awesome. So props to Kevin Feige, the Russo brothers, Stephen McFeely, and Christopher Marcus. You know, who have been working with the Russos on the Captain America movies, now the Avengers movies. Like, if Infinity War was good, Endgame is mind-blowingly great. And it's a 3+ hour movie, but there's no post-credit scene, so you don't have to stick around. There's no post-credit scene, which is a big change to the MCU, but it also speaks to the finality of this film and the current state of the franchise. So you don't have to worry about that. Do not drink a lot before going in, but you're not even thinking about that. This movie is so much is gonna happen. You're gonna be so gripped to what's happening on the screen that you won't even feel like you've been there long. It doesn't feel long. It goes by like that. And so much happens, and there's so many details and awesome moments that more than in a lot of these movies, you're going to want to see it again. I know I do, but all the screenings here, the theater right there, all sold out. That's the Galaxy Cinemas here in Guelph. But I want to see it again as soon as possible. It's awesome. All right, guys. That's my spoiler-free review on Avengers Endgame and thoughts on what's coming next, I guess, in Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, if you like these videos, I can try to do more. I can't promise anything, but for YouTube. But otherwise, you can see me on Twitch a lot of evenings on twitch.tv/Failcube. And of course, I'm on Twitter talking about our work on CBR and Screen Rant and just talking all things entertainment and fun and cool in the world on twitter.com/Rob_Keyes. That's Keyes. All right. Peace out.